All right, should we get started? All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We're here to share some information about the Bloomington Online School High School, particular to Jefferson High School students. A little overview of the evening. We're going to do some introductions. We'll share some contact information. We have key dates and then program information. Right. That's kind of the biggest part. Should we get started? And then, hold on. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We're going to hear. There we go. Sorry about that. And then we'll do some question and answer at the end. All right, we'll take a moment and have each of us introduce ourselves.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Jason Anderson. I am principal of Jefferson High School, going on my 5th year. Very excited to chat with you about this amazing program tonight. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justin Hall, assistant principal, and work a lot with our scheduling in the building, and hope to be able to help answer your questions tonight.
All right, and again, I'm Andrew Rummel. I am the program coordinator for the Bloomington Online School for the high schools and middle school. One important point around the Bloomington Online School for high school is that we partner with both high schools. And so our Kennedy students who have selected to be in the online school attend Kennedy and are part of the Kennedy community. And that's also true for our Jefferson students. They are part of the Jefferson school community. Just a little contact information. We do have a Bloomington Online School email address, so you can feel free to use that to contact us. But otherwise, you can reach out to the administrative teams at the high school and resources that are available through Jefferson High School. And I'm just going to do a little overview of the online program. And one of the big questions is why Bloomington Online School? So we are building on past success. We're in year 4 of online courses being offered in our high schools. And 40% of high school students took fully online Bloomington Public School courses in 2019-20. So that was before distance learning last year. Currently, we know that 32% of our families at least during kind of at the end of the year there, we're feeling uncertain about returning to full-time school in the fall. And then we know that 35% of post-secondary students take fully online courses. So as they head out of our high schools into post-secondary learning opportunities, we know that online learning is a key part of that experience. Over summer, we had some development teams working on the online program. We had a program advisory that was working with teachers, and we had a partnership with the University of Minnesota around really kind of guiding us through what is good online learning. We had work groups on program policies, instructional design, and student support. And then we had collaborative course creation taking place. So there were middle school and high school teachers creating course content. And then we've had years now of courses being created for the online program. A few things around the foundation of the online program. One, our courses are all standards aligned, and we hold our students to the same level of rigor and assessment as the equivalent in-person course. In this case, it'd be as an equivalent distance learning course. Courses will be engaging and interactive for students, and that's our goal around online instruction. Courses will be created and taught by licensed and qualified Bloomington teachers. So the teachers in Bloomington are the creators of these courses, and the teachers are Bloomington High School teachers. We know that in an online setting that relationships remain key, so teacher to student relationships and then student to student relationships. And then finally, from the beginning, we've been designing the online program around the idea that it's available to all high school students. Some key dates as we head towards the start of the year here. September 3rd is today. We have our informational session. September 8th, we have our first day of school. And then September 8th and 9th, there's device pickup as needed at Jefferson and Kennedy. And then September 10 and 11th is Connect with Teachers.
All right, good evening, everyone. Again, Jason Anderson, principal at Jefferson High School. For back to school information, we sent out a pretty lengthy program plan the other day. We do know that there was a little bit of a glitch in our communication software for some families, and so that we know that some families might not have received the links to the return to school plan a couple of days ago, but I believe it was rectified and was sent out earlier today. It is posted, number one, in your email, but is also posted on our website, along with my various social media accounts. Again, it is a very crucial document that's not necessarily planned for the whole trimester for all of our students, but definitely for the next few weeks to get us up and running. So as you look at your students' schedule, or if there are students in the audience and they're looking at their schedules, they're bound to notice that they have got a couple different designations of classes on their schedule, and that includes both web courses and distance learning courses, so more traditional Jefferson courses. There are going to be a couple of classes that you'll have that are designated as web, and those will have all of the parameters of the Bloomington online courses, as Andrew mentioned before. And then there's also going to be a mixture of distance learning or Jefferson-based courses. And there's a good reason that we did this. And if you want to go to the next slide, and the big reason is because as the district moved to distance learning a couple of weeks ago now, we wanted to ensure that all students were able to have the classes that they originally registered for back in spring. There are some current limitations to the online courses through Bloomington Online. So as we move to distance learning, we felt it best to honor the selections and registrations that all students and families selected back in the spring. Due to some limitations, the option of blending a student's schedule with web courses and distance learning courses gave the student the best schedule they could have, considering that we will be at home for the time being. Now, the question comes up, what happens when we change back to a hybrid model or a face-to-face model? One thing that we are committing to our families is that any student who registers for Bloomington Online or has or wishes to study from home for the year will definitely be allowed to do so. We are in the current process of designing more courses. We're in the process of designing more and more pathways to support all students who want to work from home for the year. But as that time comes, know that your counselors and school administrators like Mr. Hall will be reaching out as far as how to best schedule your students. So for the time being, everyone is working from home. We felt that to be the best mixture of scheduling, logistics, and strategy. But know that in the long term, we are committed to providing a distance education to your student for the entirety of the year, if that's need be. And we are working on how to make sure that plan is successful and effective for every student. So one thing you'll notice again in your schedule, students who have done web classes before, like Andrew said, probably already recognize this. But currently, students in web-based classes, got that little WEB tag to the class, are not placed in a class period. That's because those class periods are how we build our teacher schedule. So all online teachers, while they have a time to support the students in their online classes, the students are scheduled in what we call a 0 hour. So basically, they're not slotted into a 1 through 6. So how teachers will be supporting those students through the year are mostly going to be through those office hours, through those drop-in sessions. Most online teachers that we have talked with at Jefferson over the past couple weeks are committed to having pretty consistent times to drop in to work with the teacher. and the teacher will communicate to students and parents of when those office hours or when those drop-in tutoring sessions will be. The students who have classes of 1 through 6, that's back to your kind of distance learning or Jefferson-based classes, those will slot into the schedule, and those will have the synchronous versus asynchronous periods that you will see in the schedule in a little bit. So that's just a little bit how to read the schedule. Web-based classes will not have a class period assigned to it, and therefore do not at this time have a current dedicated asynchronous synchronous schedule to it, while the distance learning Jefferson courses do, or will, I should say. So speaking of the schedule, I think this has been shown a handful of times. This is a student sample schedule. So especially the stuff in yellow is definitely, it could be a couple different things. But the easiest way to read it is that we start at 9 o'clock in the morning with synchronous sessions, and that your student will have 3 synchronous blocks per day, 1, 3, and 5 on Mondays and Thursdays, and 2, 4, and 6. Again, kind of focusing on the web version for this particular conversation. Know that if your classes have a web-based tag, they will not fit into the green or white blocks. They will only be working around those yellow blocks. But for the classes that your student has a Jefferson or distance learning class, that's where you'll slot it into the green or the white boxes on the schedule as far as checking into the synchronous sessions with your teacher. So there's a couple in the morning, and then we do a lunch break, and then we go to the afternoon. And my dog is crawling in the corner. And then we go to the afternoon. We start again at noon with synchronous and asynchronous sessions. We built the schedule so students made sure they focus on all 6 classes per day. Wednesday, and a couple of those open chunks, 10:30 to 11, and then 1:30 to 2:33, 1:30 to 2:30 are those flexible times. And it says work on assignments or teachers' office hours, but those are just one of multiple things that could be happening during those time periods. Teachers will communicate what sessions or what options will be happening during those flexible times. So that's the schedule. Again, for keeping it focused on web-based courses for the time being, there's a web class. They won't fit into that blue and green grid. They will only fit into those yellow chunks based on the teacher's scheduling. Again, first day of school, to discuss a little bit. That is the first day of school, but that first week's a little bit unique for sure. 9th graders and 12th graders on Tuesday the 8th will be coming into school to pick up Chromebooks, to get their photos taken, to get some textbooks. And on that same day, while the 9th and 12th graders are scheduling and coming in and doing that from 8 to 3, 10th and 11th graders are staying home, and there is going to be a student success exercise on campus, and more information will come, as you can see, on Sunday night or into Monday morning for them to work on that week. But one thing to note is that every day during that week, students need to log into the hub to mark their attendance. It's required that we are having students log into the hub, but we are working through training students and families on what that looks like and what that means. So don't worry too much, but try to remember to have your students log into the hub every day. Basically every day, every school day starting on the 8th. One of the big reasons, again, that we had a mixture of web-based and Jefferson distance learning courses is that as of now there are no advanced or honors courses in Bloomington Online. The courses that have been designed are general education courses. So as of now, there were no online AP or gifted courses in the Bloomington Online classes. So we know how important that is, of course, to our families. And so that is one of the major reasons we stuck with sort of this blended schedule. That's definitely a bigger project for Bloomington Online to embrace more and more of those courses. But as you know, that is quite a lengthy process. So again, that's the main reason that we stuck with this blended scheduling model, so kids could take those advanced courses that they registered for.
A little bit about technology in the online program, and this is true also within the distance learning program. So all students in Bloomington have a device. So Jason just mentioned the pickup time for those devices, at least on the first day there. And an important element, again, is the hub. The hub is the place that we want to really have all families or all students going, access their information. And then from the hub, it will be linking to one of 2 learning management systems based on the teacher's choice around which system they believe will kind of allow them to do the work that they kind of picture for students in an online setting. So we have Canvas, and then we have Google Classroom. So again, accessing those can work right through the hub as students kind of check in for the day. A little bit about parenting in an online world, and it is different at high school, but it is very important to continue to communicate with school, with teachers in schools, and mainly that you do that through really empowering your student to communicate with teachers in the school, and help your student establish and maintain a daily routine. I know that's challenging, of course, with adolescents, but it is important that they kind of set that routine that will allow them to be successful in their online classes. Encourage your student to stay organized, both in their physical and digital environment. So there are a lot of strategies for ways to organize for work or to get work done, and then check in with your student about their schoolwork. So it is always good to get students talking about what they're learning, maybe explaining key concepts or talking about why certain concepts work the way they do. So we're going to take a little moment here for a queue for questions, and you can chat those into the comment section. And then we'll respond as questions come in. And maybe we'll take no questions as doing a really nice job providing the information you needed. All right, so I see a question here around moving. Let me see here. So there's a question around the formal process to switch back to hybrid. I don't know, Jason, if you want to restate those points there.
So yes, as of, I guess I'm not sure if the question is referencing in the current moment, or presumably when we get back to actually having a hybrid or a face-to-face program. So as of now, for the short foreseeable future, everyone is working online. But as we go back to reworking our hybrid plan, our face-to-face plan, we will build in processes for students to either both ways elect to remain in a digital world, or if they're feeling comfortable to return to a hybrid model. So I couldn't necessarily detail the plan for you, but we will have a plan in place for families to be able to elect as we talk about going back to a hybrid plan of how can families either opt for an all online version of school for the rest of the year or a hybrid plan and vice versa. So yes, look for that to come as we start gearing up to repropose a different, newer version of hybrid.
Great. And then I see a question around how does a student do online gym?
So that's a good question. Online gym is actually one of our oldest online classes. We've been running it for about 2 years now. So it is definitely one of our veteran online classes. And it works very, very well. It's actually one of our most popular classes, in fact, as well. In regular school, it works as a really nice scheduling relief because students who take online gym often have a very full schedule. So it's a nice way to kind of get that class in a non-traditional way. But students do individual workouts. They have guided activities, but basically they do some journaling, they do some health stuff, and then they submit fitness logs, and they often send videos of their fitness activities to the teacher. The teacher kind of talks about fitness with them. It's very robust. It's definitely more of an individual-based PE experience than sort of like a team sports PE, but it works very well. And we have hundreds of kids every year who've gotten online PE credits over the year, and I am sure that is going to continue this year.
All right, I see some questions there around honors and AP classes, and I just want to restate. So that during the kind of planning stage, as we were looking at enrollment and also course registrations, there was a decision to keep students in the widest selection of courses as possible, and that includes honor and AP classes. I see a question around Let's see here. I see a question around an IEP and how will IEPs be handled for online? I don't know if you want to speak to that, Jason.
Well, I mean, if you've got a more thorough response, so basically IEPs, all are being tailored right now to distance learning. So students with special education services are all having a revision to their IEP services because a lot of their IEP services are based on being in person. So they are being re-tailored now with a couple different scenarios. So that is what's going to continue to happen with students as they stay online, is that case managers, and I see my, yes, I got thrown for a minute. Sorry, everybody. So yes, case managers will retool the IEP to fit the online or distance learning platform. So it really, so what that looks like really does depend on your student's particular modifications. But that is being currently redeveloped for all students because it's online, and will continue to be so and do so.
Yeah, and I see a question about a student, asking to join the Bloomington online school and then not seeing a web dedicated courses, and that is possible. Really, that's driven by the courses that were requested during spring, and how kind of that process of enrollment and course registration worked, and again with the goal of that widest selection of possible courses as we enter this year here.
I see a quick one about coming in for ninth grade. Can they come in? Yes, anytime. We were going to schedule by alphabet, but we decided ultimately to let families figure out what works best for them. So yes, 8 to 3 for ninth grader, between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. On Tuesday the 8th at any time between those times is when you come in to get your materials. Need to mark attendance that day. No, as of now, we don't have a deadline. As if you recall from last year, that we said anytime during the day, students could mark their hub. We do have it marked on our schedule to mark in by a certain time. We are asking our teachers to mark hub, or to remind students to mark their hub attendance, but we will take hub attendance anytime throughout that day to count for that day.
Yeah, and there's been some nice updates to the hub for students. As they go in, right away they'll see their place where to mark their attendance for the day, and then see their coursework or class schedule, and then links to their teachers' classes.
Yeah.
So I see a question there around what happens around Wood's class for try 2 and try 3. So will that be removed from elective as their elective at a later date? Again, that's going to be that process that Jason talked about around planning around if there is a move from hybrid or from distance learning to hybrid. They'll be planning around how a student's schedule will be impacted by that.
And that's been a very common question throughout this process, is certain classes seem like they lend themselves more logically to an online world, where some very hands-on classes, or music, for example, people, it's a very fair question of how can that translate. And the best I can say in the short term, especially because we are running various classes that are hands-on courses, foods and arts and music, is that those teachers are working really, really hard and with their networks to be really creative. We know it's not going to be as great an experience, but they are really being creative in examining resources and strategies to make it still a really good experience for kids.
I see a particular question around transcripts not being available in Infinite Campus. I don't know, Justin, if you have information about like what would be the best pathway for that parent to reach out.
For them to reach out?
Yeah, like
what were you looking at?
Yeah, there's a question around a transcript not being available through Infinite Campus, and the concern of wanting to make sure a student's on course for graduation.
Yeah, definitely start with the counselor. So the counselors are broken up by alphabet, but starting with the counselor, or even calling the number that was in the PowerPoint, the main office number, and getting connected with someone in our counseling office, and we'll be able to check and see why that's not there.
All right. Thank you for that. And let's see. All right.
There's just been a couple questions, Andrew, as far as a lot of classes are marked as regular, or as far as they're marked Jefferson and not web, and what's a number that would be I mean, is there some sort of like, does it seem odd that not that many courses are web versus Jefferson courses?
Yeah, so again, that is entirely possible based on the student's course registration from last spring, so you are seeing an updated version of their schedule for the start of this year. Absolutely. Great. I see a question around what attendance looks like. So if you go back to the slide that was shown around the schedule, if it's a course that is not marked web, then there will be scheduled synchronous time within. So I can hop back on the schedule here. Say on Monday morning, they would begin their day at 9 o'clock. They would attend a first hour synchronous session. Notice that the next half-hour block then is a really open working time, and it's not a synchronous session. And then they move into third hour to attend a synchronous session. Now that is for courses that are not marked web. For courses that are marked web, teachers will be making instructional decisions around what format live connections would take place. It might be through office hours. It might be through working with groups. It might be through offering sessions for a larger, small groups or larger. So really that's for the web courses, that's around instructional decision making.
But presumably, just to kind of add some context, everyone in this room is going to have a mixture of Jefferson distance learning classes and web classes, some proportions higher than others. But as far as attendance goes, as far as will they receive access links, yes, they'll all be done via Google Meets, and all those links and schedules will be sent out to students by their teachers starting this week, starting early next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. All those links will also be able to be found on the hub, so parents can also help their students navigate it. So all of the links to the Google Meet links will all be accessible early on, and teachers will be recording attendance. Now, they won't be reporting attendance to the attendance reporting system, but they will be keeping their own attendance, so that when you ask, or when I ask as the principal, why is Justin not doing so great in your class? The teacher can go, well, he's only showed up, to 2 out of 3 synchronous classes. I called it home because he's not been showing up. So that's how we'll use that sign-in data.
All right, we'll see if there's a few more questions here. Let's see.
While you're looking, there's a good teacher communication one, and this is, not necessarily online only. It's probably for our whole system. Yeah, agreed. As we kind of dove into crisis mode last year, we were really shooting in a lot of different directions. So a ton of work has been done over the summer and the last couple weeks to really streamline communications from our teachers to students and to families, to keep it clean, but be thorough, but keep it clean. We know how important that was, and yeah, some teachers were sending out daily reports, which it could be good or too much depending on you and your kid, while some necessarily wouldn't sound anything. So the meets every week, the communications, the data tracking that we're doing, the systems that we've set up to kind of clean up. We had 3 or 4 learning systems last year. We're down to 2, and everything going through the hub should be much more streamlined and clean and efficient for communication. Because I agree with that comment.
Yeah. I see a question there around the student schedule being available. Was that in the packet of information that went out to?
Yeah, it was. Justin, do you want to talk about schedules and availability and accuracy?
Yeah, schedules are available in both the hub and Infinite Campus. If there are things that are missing, again, contacting us or contacting a counselor to make sure that information is up to date and correct. We do, even though we're not physically going to be in the building, distributing students evenly amongst teachers to be able to provide students teachers the ability to work with as small a number of students as possible. We are still working to even out some areas. So there may be some minor changes. So definitely checking back at Infinite Campus or the hub, to see that most up-to-date information, even on Tuesday, to just check back and make sure there haven't been any changes.
So I saw a good question about asking to tweet. Okay, when would you be asked to choose to determine? You said it better, Rebecca. When would we be going back, and when would you be forced to choose if something changes? So I will say that the ultimate decision to move us in any platform belongs to the school board and the superintendent. But I would agree that I would advocate for a trimester change for all the reasons I think we would all understand. So that's a good question. As far as printing, someone came up with, I do have a couple things for when you come to pick up stuff for printing, just for some nice handouts. The schedule with the yellows and greens, it's in the handout, or it's not a handout. It's in the return to school plan that I sent out a few days ago. You could print it from there, but that is a good idea. I'm going to look to see if I can get that printed for every family.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if you did not receive that a few days ago, it was sent again to families that were registered for Bloomington Online School for high schools today. So you should see that in your email box.
And then as we look at, I think this last question is a really good question as far as choices. And we know that there could be the time when we go back that families have to make choices, knowing that maybe not all things can get moved to an online version. Band is a good example. We have a tremendous band program and choir program. The teachers, if they're doing in person, it's going to be hard to do online. So we did discuss this back in the summer of, would we have kids be able to do a blended model, 4 classes online and only, 1 or 2 classes in person. And I think we would be amenable to that. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to continue to work on, trying to get as many options and as much flexibility for our families during this very challenging time.
All right. Thank you for that. We're going to wrap up. If there's any additional questions, you can chat those in right now. And then I would say otherwise, thank you for joining us this evening. Please don't hesitate to reach out. You can email the Bloomington Online School email address that was in the beginning slides. These slides will be available on the Bloomington Online School website, so they should be posted tomorrow. And then, of course, your students are Jefferson High School students, and so you have all of the resources and contacts at Jefferson High School to also reach out to. All right. Final words there, Jason, Justin?
Good questions. As we're building pretty much everything from scratch, these conversations are super helpful. My daughter is tapping me on the leg again. Hold on. But yes, good questions helps us try to vet out every wrinkle that we may or may not be missing. So thank you.
Yeah, and like Andrew said, feel free to reach out through email or call, and we're happy to make sure that we get those questions answered.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, have a good evening, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.